Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to another power packed episode of Soul Talks, where we don't just hear stories, we feel them. Where we don't just meet people, we meet souls who dare to rise, break barriers, and live their truth. Today, we are not just flying high, we are soaring into the life of a woman who turned clouds into her canvas. A woman who dreamt with her eyes wide open and made the skies her second home. She's not just a pilot, she's a powerhouse of purpose, a symbol of strength, and a beacon of inspiration for every girl who has ever been told this is not for you. She commands the cockpit with grace, navigates life with courage, and today she's here to take us on a soulful flight through her journey. She's also the brilliant author of Wheels Up, Tales from the Cockpit, a book that takes you beyond the turbulence and into the heart of what it means to fly, to fight, and to feel. Let's welcome the incredible, unstoppable, and truly inspiring Captain Priya Jain. Welcome to Soul Talks, Priya.
Thank you so much for such a beautiful introduction.
It's an honor to have you on Soul Talks. Let's dive into your story, Priya, how it all started and everything. I just want to listen from you.
Okay. So, like in every vacation, we used to travel to one place or the other through aircraft. And that kept increasing my curiosity towards how this machine flies, who flies it, how does the cockpit look like. And I believe sky was always, calling me. In my school also, it was situated near to the airport. So I used to see airplanes passing by. So that also, kept encouraging me or inspiring me. The sky was my biggest inspiration throughout the journey. That I want to be there one day. I want to fly the machine. I want to see how it feels like. And then when I was in 10th grade, so one of my father's friend, he was already working for the airlines. So I had a word with him, like what exactly I have to do to become a commercial pilot. And then he guided me that you have to first go through the medical examinations, and then you need to take training for 200 hours of flying to gain the CPL. And like in CA, Chartered Accountant, there is no college. Similar is the case with pilots education. So there are no certified colleges like that, but it's just a course because CPL is not a degree course; it's a license course. So I joined one of the private institute, and took the ground training, ground subjects training. So like there are 5 subjects which we need to uh, give exams. The government only conducts the CPL exams, and you need to score 70% in each one of them.
Oh,
So in like from 10th only, I absorbed all the information, made a plan, like what exactly I need to do. But my parents thought, it is just one of fantasies. They never took me very seriously. They're like, kids keep changing their ambitions. So maybe today she's saying she wants to be a pilot. Later on, maybe she'll change. So after 12th, and then 11, 12, they made me, they really forced me to take engineering classes also, which I was not at all interested into. But they were like, you should always have a backup plan. And for me, maths was really difficult in 11. The differentiation, integration, it was a headache for me.
yeah.
I'm like, why am I doing this? But for pilot, to become a pilot, physics and maths are mandatory. So I was like, I have to, give exams and I have to score at least minimum 50% is required in 12. So I was like, this much I can score, but I was not having any interest in mathematics specifically. So, and there were 11 members in my family. It was a joint family. And to your surprise, like you would be really surprised to know that my grandparents were the first one to grant me permission to go in this airlines, not even my parents.
That's great.
And yeah, like my grandfather is no more, but he was the first one. He was like, if you really want to become pilot only, so we will support you. So don't worry. And from there on, my journey started. Then I cleared my medical examination, joined the ground training institute, and then finally went for my flying. They didn't allow me to go abroad because I was the first girl child in my family, the one most. They were like, we can't allow you to go abroad, but in India, wherever you want, you can, fly. So I did my flying from Ujjain immediately after my 12th. And I completed, like, I cleared all my examinations and did my 200 hours of flying in within 9 months. I was the fastest there, thankfully. And I got my license like within 9 months time span. And after I gained my CPL, I went to Australia for my further flight training. And by the time I came back in 2009, the market was shut, aviation market, because Kingfisher Airlines closed at that time, and all the experienced pilots were absorbed in the upcoming airlines or already running airlines. So for people like us who were having zero experience on the actual aircraft as in uh, the multi-engine aircraft, the airliner aircraft like Airbus 320 or Boeing 737, I was not having any experience on that big aircraft. So there were no job vacancies for all of us, and I had to wait for long 7 years for the job. So that waiting time was really brutal, but that really tested my resilience, and I was perseverant enough. Thank to my family also, because they never let me down. Like they were, we are there for you. We'll wait for the right opportunity to come by, and it's okay to wait. So yeah, that is my story.
Yeah, that's truly inspiring, Priya. From navigating the uncertainties of the aviation industry to turning your passion into purpose even during challenging times, that really speaks so much about. And now flying high as a pilot, a mother, and an author. It's such a beautiful combination. I'm sure there are so many layers to your journey that our audience would love to uncover. So let's dive deep into it. And did the dream of becoming a pilot first take root in your heart? Was there a defining moment in your childhood?
Okay, so like I think I was just 4 years old when I took my first flight as a passenger. I still remember it was to Kathmandu, thanks to my parents. So it was our summer vacations, and they planned a trip, family trip to Kathmandu. And we traveled through Indian Airlines. It was known as Indian Airlines back then. And when I reached the airport, I saw the mannequin of Maharaja. So I hugged him, and kissed him. And at that time, I was not knowing that years later, I'll be flying for the same company. Like at that time, I was just 4 years old. So you may be thinking, like, how would a 4 year old girl would be so sure that, she's going to fly that machine one day? But believe me not, like my parents tell me that when I was sitting in the aircraft, I was so curious. I was asking so many questions to the air hostess that she had to take me to the cockpit to really, make me see like this is how this machine flies. These are the people who fly it, and this is the whole team. You know, and like I was having too many questions. I was in fact asking them that why the shape of the wing is getting changed in the aircraft and what is powering this, aircraft, how it is flying so high in the sky. So yeah, when I talked to that captain for the first time and I saw the cockpit, somewhere deep down I was knowing that, this is my calling. And then that kept increasing day by day, years over year, when I started flying more and more often. But yeah, whenever I used to watch the plane flying, I was like, I really want to be there. So it stayed with me. It never changed. Like during childhood, like I also have a son now who is 4.5 years old. Other one is just 2.5 months old. So he keeps telling me that, someday he'll be telling like, I want to become a soldier. Someday he'll be like, I want to become a pilot like you. Sometimes he'll be engineer. But for me, it was quite constant. It never changed. Either I wanted to become a Air Force pilot. It was always related to flying or astronaut or a pilot, normal airline pilot. But it was always related to sky. That I knew somewhere, that I want to be a bird. I want to always, fly.
Sky should be your second home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was there.
Yeah. Growing up, who was your biggest inspiration? Did you have any role models in aviation?
So like I am having no aviation background in my family. So there was no as such, role model for me. But my father was my biggest supporter. He believed in my, dream. And he was like, I am there to make you fulfill your dream and I'll never pull you back. If you really want to do this, so I'll be there with you. And even my grandparents, because they were the first one, they made my father realize, that the girl is serious and she really want to do it. So don't stop her. So yeah, these three people, I think they are my biggest inspirations also. But there is no role model as such in aviation. I think Sky was my only inspiration always. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very nice. And it means so much to get that much support to achieve your dreams. From that age itself, they recognize that you are very serious about what you want.
Right.
How did your parents react when you first shared your dream? Were they always supportive?
No, so initially when I told them, they thought that, maybe she's just fascinated by some idea of being a pilot. Like, because my father told me this is such a male dominating industry and you'll be having, no routine, no schedule. For being a woman, it'll be so tough for you in future, to balance each and everything. And they were like, how will you, handle the situation there? If God forbid, because it's a male dominated industry, you will be moving out of house for the first time. You're so naive. Something or the other happens with you in a wrong manner. Some boy or a man, misbehaves with you like that on those terms, he told me. So, not in terms that whether you'll be able to fly the machine or not, that wasn't his concern, but the women's safety was his concern. Like, how will you handle it? Because you've never been, never stepped out of your house. You're always staying in a very overprotective environment. So, how will you fight those challenges? So, I was like, you are always there with me. I can call you, I can share with you always. So, he wanted to be sure that, whether she is prepared in every sense or not. Yeah. So initially, like there are 11 members, as I told you. So none of them agreed to this idea. And I still remember I had to do hunger strike for 2 days to make them believe that no, no, this is not one of my fantasy or just like that idea. I'm really serious about it. I'm not just saying for the sake of it. And secondly, I didn't score much also in 12. So there were not many avenues also waiting for me, right open. I was getting uh, like this BA in English honors from a very good institute because I was good at writing poetry. That journey also started when I was in 11th grade, and I had some inclination about towards different languages and all. So that avenue was open for me, but not the engineering or any technical, courses. So I told my parents either which ways I haven't scored much, in 12th. So I think this field is good for me, and I really have passion for it, So I'll form good here. So that was my, sales pitch to my parents. And they agreed. Yeah.
Your sales pitch worked finally.
Yeah.
What kind of sacrifices did your family and you make during your training journey?
During my Airbus training journey, that was like when I became mother for the first time, and I had to regain all my, training licenses because they get lapsed. Because after a certain period of time, your licenses starts getting lapsed, your different trainings, they each have got some validity attached to it. So you again need to undergo or like for almost a month of a training when you are having a long gap in the plane. So I still remember in 2021 I rejoined after my first child was born, and my whole family, my in-laws, my husband, even my sister-in-law joined us in Hyderabad. It happened. She was staying in Bangalore, so her whole family came. My whole family went along with me. So we booked a hotel for almost 15, 20 days. And like they were just there for me to support me. Like, how will I, leave my child here? Because I was a breastfeeding mom. So child has to be there with me. So yeah, like that was a big support which they gave me. And my parents, monetary wise, they didn't sacrifice much. Touch wood. Like I belong to a business family. So I never took loan also for flying. Uh, like they paid straight away the full amount. Yeah. But staying away from them, missing the important events in life, and my personal sacrifices when I wasn't getting the job for 7 long years. So I worked as a ground staff with Indigo for almost a year, and actually I learned the value of money there, where I was earning hardly any money there as compared to a pilot salary. But that was my first job, and I saw my colleagues. They were bitching about each other, the crab mentality in the industry, just to, earn few penny. And I was like, people are doing what not? We just, save their job. And I was thinking, yeah, itna hi to milta hai. For this, they are doing so much of like company politics is happening. I was very naive then. I was like, you have to just work sincerely and you get paid. But there were times when I was doing my job seriously, but some people have, put blames on me for not doing my job rightly. Th- And I felt so emotional about it back then. And I understood the working of the airline from the very, ground level, how the airline industry works. So I was at the baggage counter also. I applied the baggage stickers to the bags while seeing the pilots walking by in front of me. But that kept my, fire in my belly alive. Like I want to, go there. That used to hurt me also. That when will I be flying? Being a CPL holder, you're standing on the other side of the counter. It was a bit tough, but and I used to, always wear that bun and put on the heels that used to really hurt me. And night duties were there, 8 hour shift I used to do. So yeah, that was like both physical and mental sacrifice. I can translate it to, but that has led the way where I am today. So I'm really proud of that journey. But back then, it used to really hurt me.
Yeah, true. When we go back to the olden days, we will feel like everything is a
Right.
lesson.
Right.
So, was there ever a moment you doubted yourself during training? How did you push through it?
So it was not during the CPL time. CPL training was a little smooth. Just one time, initially when I joined flying, all of my peers got their first solo. So solo flight is like when you fly on your own. No instructor would be seated with you. So I got my solo flight really late. And that time I doubted myself. I'm like, why am I not getting my solo flight? Each and everyone is getting. But finally I achieved it. But yeah, that made me restless and made me doubt myself. That was once during my CPL training. Then when I was doing my Airbus 320 rating from Bangalore, the instructor there, he was very impatient and he had some, I think, bias towards women pilots. That's what I have a perception about him. He used to slip in some comments related to gender and not to the ability or the skill.
Hmm.
Like he always used to, doubt me or used to always scold me like that. And his way of talking was very, very rude. Like he was like, why are you wasting your parents' money? You'll never be able to learn to fly this machine. Women are not good with machine learning. Those were the moments when I doubted myself during those training times. But then I was like, this is too much, Then I wrote a letter to the institute and wanted, like, I told them to change my instructor because that wasn't really helping. And then finally, I got the good instructor. He's also no more, Captain Victor D'Souza. And I really owe a big chunk of my success story and of my, training success to that man. He really turned me around from there on. He was very patient with me because one of the reasons was I got my CPL back in 2008 and I started my 320 rating in 2012. So I was out of line, out of touch for almost 4 years. And this is a big aircraft, Airbus. It has got so many systems, so like big engines. So very powerful aircraft, very different from what I used to fly, just a single engine aircraft. And it was more mechanical there. The Cessna 152, it's a single engine aircraft on which every pilot is trained. And this is a multi engine aircraft, and so much of automation is there to understand the system. Takes some time. You have to be really patient with the new person coming up on the board, right? So yeah, that guy was really, really sweet. Instructor was really good and brought back that confidence in me and pulled me around. Then during the airline training, so I used to fly with different instructors initially during the training period I'm talking about, and it kept changing. The instructor kept changing. So initially my learning was slow again because there was a long gap, almost 7 years I wasn't flying. So you lose that touch of flying. So handling of aircraft is better when you do it regularly. It becomes your muscle memory. But if you're out of touch for that too for a long time, and just imagine I was just 17 years when I got my license. I got the job after 7, so I was almost 24, sorry, 26 years old because I got married when I was 25. I got the job after 1 year. So I was 26 years old when I got the job. So your grasping power also, it reduces
Yeah.
when you age. And your reflexes are also not that quick, which they were at the age of 17. Yeah. So that time I was not incorporating all these factors which I am able to now. And I used to self doubt a lot. When instructor used to tell me you are very slow, and why are you not able to do it faster? We are telling you so many times. Why are you not able to, grasp? But they used to push my limits. But I used to feel very bad back then that why are why am I not able to perform? I know the thing on ground, but I'm not able to translate it into actions in air. So why it's happening with me? Then again, one of the instructors came into my life, Captain Sachin Gupta. Again, he, held my hand. He's still in touch with me. He's gone to wide body aircraft now, but we still talk. And he was one instructor who really believed in me and who has, made me I think, a better pilot in the making.
Yeah, at least I do believe like a teacher or trainer can make the future of the kid or break the future.
Yeah, they can make or break the future. So I've been very lucky that both the times when I was feeling the lowest in my life, like when I just gave up that yaar hoga hi nahi musse to, I just gave up hope on that. That it's not happening only. Both the times, the two great gentlemen came into my life and just changed it for better.
That's so sweet. So, how did it feel when you finally got your CPL in hand? What emotions ran through you that day?
This when I got my CPL, I think it was just a ticket to the sky. I was like, now finally, I'll be applying to airlines and I'll be getting the job. And I'll be flying, not just for myself, but I'll be, flying the passengers also. And so many stories will be, travel stories will be connected to me. And I really felt, I still remember my father called me Captain Priya Jain for the first time. But that title you get when you get the CPL. So looking that pride in his eyes, it was really surreal back then. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what was your first commercial flight experience as a pilot like?
It was a mix of excitement and nervousness. My first flight as a commercial pilot, as a first officer, was from Mumbai to Indore. And when I was doing my CPL training, my first landing on the actual airport was Indore only. So I completed my full circle. I was back to there only. And flying wise, my experience was like initially I was just the cadet pilot. Then I became the trainee pilot, and now I'm flying the passengers on board in the real world. It was a real world experience. I used to fly on simulators. I used to do checklist on the simulators and other machines. But here I was flying the actual aircraft. I still remember I put the thrust lever. It surged on the runway down the runway, and the speed continued increasing rapidly. And then I eased back the pressure on the side stick, and we were finally airborne. And it was my first takeoff, which I did on my own, not with the help of the instructor or the commander sitting on the left seat. And when we were cruising, my commander said it was a good job, and that's what I wanted to hear then. And then he gave me landing also in the first flight itself. So it was a smooth touchdown. And when passengers were disembarking, I knew that it must be one of the flights for them. But for me, it was first of many moments. So yeah, I'm like, it'll always be there in my memory forever. That first flying experience. Yeah, I can never forget that.
Yeah, even I'm living that moment and getting tears in my eyes.
Oh God.
So, what's a memory from your early flying days that still gives you?
I think it was for my first flight when I took my parents with myself. My brother got the job in Hyderabad and my younger brother. So my family was trying to, take him and settle him down at the Hyderabad because it was a new place for him. And so that was the first time I took my parents and my brother uh, in the flight which was flown by me. Like I was one of the members of the flight deck. So yeah, I think that is one of the most special early flights of my lifetime.
That's so sweet, and that's so many pilots dream as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I still remember, like, my father made me prepare for the Hindi announcement because my Hindi translation wasn't that great. So I sat with him a night before and I was like, no, you have to translate this English thing into Hindi and I will be making the Hindi announcement. And that was the Hindi announcement I made for the first time. And then I made that no format. And then on each and every flight, I used to follow that format only, which my father gave me the translated form. Now my company has given me the fixed format, but that time it wasn't fixed. You can like talk about anything whichever you feel like is important to share with passengers.
Yeah. So, how did marriage and motherhood fit into your journey as a pilot?
I think because of big family support, it has been quite smooth, I would say. But being a mother, you always go through guilt. You know, that mom's guilt is always there. So when my first child was born, I luckily, unluckily, whatever you can say, I wasn't very healthy. I'm like health wise. I had appendicitis. So after my C-sec happened, within a span of 6 months, my second surgery was there. Appendicitis was there. So I got that full 1 year with him. Usually, what happens immediately after 6 months, you have to join back if you are medically fit.
Yeah.
But fortunately, unfortunately, well, I took it in a positive side that luckily I got that time, initial 1 year with him, which I'll not be getting with my second child. And still, like, already I'm feeling guilty about it that I have to, leave 6 months child at home and rejoin my duty. But yeah, with him, I joined after 1 year. But then again, my whole family, as I told you, went with me for training. And then I was finally released as a first officer again. Yeah. I still remember I used to miss important dates, like his first day in the school I missed, you know.
Mm.
Uh, but I think whatever time I spend with my children at home, it's a very quality time. So I've started believing in quality over quantity, that I have to be 100% present at least that moment.
Yeah.
And that way, I, balance between the work and family. So, like, sometimes I plan if I'm flying on Sundays. So we will be having a dinner near Aerocity only. So my husband and my children will come and pick me up and we can have, our own time. So that way, we handle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Really tough. No, sometimes we feel like being at home, but we need to go for our job. So, did you ever feel torn between duty in the skies and responsibilities at home?
Yeah, many a times I feel so. The main struggle comes in with the sleep deprivation because of the like erratic routine is there. So you can't get enough sleep. And with kids, it's highly impossible. So that crankiness is also there. So I sleep during the to and fro now from airport to home. Whatever time I get, I just rest. Because for flying also you have to be rested.
Yeah.
And yeah, but with kids, you know how much energy goes in. But thankfully I have a full army of people working for me. So I like delegate duties to them so that I can have proper rest also before flight. Uh, like my body is rested during that time, but mentally thoughts keep, bugging me till date. I have to really channelize that. Uh, but I think it is a story of every mother who's working and maybe in corporate life also.
Yeah.
But I always think when my kids will, grow up, they'll always be, taking it as a very positive thing that our mother was ambitious enough, never sacrifice her ambitions for us. So they'll not be like feeling guilty about it that because of her, the mother could not progress. So I want to set example for them also.
You are an inspiration to them and you are teaching them first you need to fill your cup before filling others' cups. Yeah.
Right. Mm. That's right.
Have you missed important personal occasions, birthdays, festivals, anniversaries? How did you cope emotionally?
Like birthdays and anniversary, I have not missed till date because we can apply for the golden leave. It is called golden leave in our company. Or now the bond has become very important rather than the date. So if suppose I am missing birthdays or anniversary, we plan it a day before or a day after. We celebrate, but maybe not on the same day. So that's how. But yeah, like first day of the school of my child, I missed. Sometimes PTM I missed. So yeah, these things I've missed with my son. but not otherwise. Yeah. Mhm.
So you are balancing everything so well then. Yeah. So how do you manage sleep and jet lag when your body clock is constantly being reached?
For that, I listen to my body whenever it is fatigued. I take rest. Then I don't care about the kids or my husband or other home duties. I just tell them that my room is shut, curtains are drawn, and I really need to sleep. Don't disturb me, please. And I have made a rule that before sleeping, there should be zero screen time for almost like 1 hour before sleeping. The phone should not be there. It should be in reach to listen to alarm and all, but not in the hand, just away from that, bed area. So that's what I do. And for jet lag, like I'm not on a long haul flights.
Hmm.
I go to till Singapore, Bangkok, maybe Dubai, other UAE countries. So jet lag is not much in our flights, short haul flights. But yeah, that erratic routine plays with your sleep cycle, bioclock.
Hmm.
That happens. So that's how I cope up with the same.
Role does physical fitness play in a pilot's life? Do you follow a specific routine?
Major role. Yeah. If you're not physically fit, I don't think like you can be really happy. You'll always be cranky or you'll not be able to focus also in flight if something is, bothering you physically.
Hmm.
And if something goes really bad, then you are medically grounded also. And you'll be sitting at home. So license is only valid when you are physically properly fit according to the norms of the industry. Yeah. I remember during my first child, I hired a yoga instructor. After 2 months, I started doing yoga. And yeah, but when I started flying after the maternity leave got over after 1 year, my flying suddenly increased a lot. So I remember I got slip disc also because of excessive flying hours. And I was not able to exercise. It was my first child. I used to, play with him, not, and I used to pick him up like that in any posture like that. I wasn't very conscious about my postures, and I end up having slip disc. So I was bedridden for almost 6 months because of the same. I had to go through physiotherapy and everything. So it was a good lesson in my life that you have to really take care of your health also. You just can't keep working or just can't keep running behind your kids, but health is also very, very important. Be in this field or I think in any field, health is becoming very important these days.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so now I have like joined gym this time immediately after 2 months. And this time my weight reduction was also really quick because I was very conscious during my pregnancy. What I have, it was a mindful eating. And you have to be really hydrated also. That thing also I follow. Hydration is very important. So yeah, it was a tough lesson learned, but I have learned it finally. So physical fitness is very, very important for a pilot.
Yeah. So how do you maintain your mental peace and emotional strength amid the intensity of this career?
I think writing really helps me. It acts as a therapy. So whenever I am emotionally charged up or something is bothering me, I journal it down, and that really, just takes away all the stress onto the paper. Sometimes I just tear the paper also, and it's just out of my system.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do meditation also. It's not meditation, I would say chanting, more of a chanting. So being a Jain, we have a Namokar mantra. So I chant that 108 times.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, and during my pregnancy, I used to recite Bhavana Yoga. That is also a Jain Jain guru has recited it, and I used to repetitively, tell myself. So it is basically a positive reinforcement in your mind. So say good things about yourself, about your son. That time during the pregnancy, I used to talk about my baby that he should be healthy, he should be a good person, he should be a good soul, like that. So it's just a positive reinforcement in your mind. So I follow these two things.
It makes you mentally very happy, right?
Yeah. And if something is bothering me, I talk it out. I talk it out to my friends, to my husband, that, this is bothering me. So that also really helps me.
Yeah. Instead of bottling it up, it's very nice to share with somebody.
Share. Yeah. Mhm.
So, have there been moments when flying felt emotionally overwhelming? How did you center yourself?
So, like as I told you, there was a time when my flying was increased immensely.
Mm.
So I hardly used to spend any time with my first child, Samyak, and that really used to bother me that I'm not able to spend any time with the kid because for 1 year I was totally with him, and now this is a sudden change for this for my child also, and he was so small to understand it also, right? And I remember there was once I was going on an early morning flight, and he was pulling my trousers. Remember, please don't go. I really need you. And I sat in my car. Like in front of him, I couldn't cry, but I remember I just cried. It was welling up in me so much that I didn't bother that the driver would be, asking me questions because I feel really conscious to cry in front of anybody. In fact, in front of my family members also. Whenever I cry in my washroom in my own space. I never used to cry in front of others like that. So that was the first time I just couldn't control myself only, and I cried my heart out. And then when I was about to reach my airport, I just made a call, and my son was again started playing and all. He forgot. And I was like, kids are like that only. I'm like, that was just for time being. He's well settled now. So then I treated myself with a good coffee at Starbucks at the airport. And I was like, now I have to, really be 100% present in the cockpit and not think about it. So yeah, that's a
This thing will always be there with mothers. Like even while we are doing any other job, also not as a pilot, that mom guilt will always be there. Yeah. So, what were some of the stereotypes you had to break as a woman pilot?
I think people have some notion about women pilots, like about a women, that they are not technical enough
Mm.
and they can't work better in stressful conditions. So I think every time I fly, I am breaking the stereotype. But anytime any women pilot is piloting the aircraft, they are breaking these stereotypes. So I think, yeah, I've broken out that every time I fly.
So great. And did you ever face bias or subtle discrimination on duty? How did you deal with it?
I think discrimination on duty I faced from the passengers. Like once I remember I was on the aero bridge walking towards my aircraft in the cockpit, and one of the passengers was he was a male passenger, and he asked me, "Are you piloting this flight?" I'm like, "Yeah." So he was like, "You don't look that old. You look very young." That way he because he couldn't say directly, know that you are a girl, and I can't imagine. I'm like, obviously I have a license, that's why I'm here to fly you. So he didn't say it much, but his expression, facial expression said a lot. And I was like, just check it, yeah. Yeah. And like when I tell anyone, when they ask me, like, in which industry do you work? And when I tell them airlines, their first thing is, are you a flight attendant? They never can think of that, are you a pilot? Like educated people also, they ask me, are you a flight attendant? Looking at me. I'm like, no, I'm a pilot. As a pilot, their eyes, they get broader. Like,
But I see that in a very different perspective. Whenever I see woman pilot, I feel so happy, and I call my daughter and I will show it to her. See, there is woman pilot in this.
yeah. In fact, whenever I see women in any kind of fields like this, like recently I booked a cab and I got a lady driver. So that was only very empowering and, I was like inspirational. Like, wow, yeah, like girls are really breaking the stereotype.
Yeah,
And she was the first cab driver. Yeah, I boarded. Yeah.
yeah, that's very nice experience. What advice would you give to young girls who dream of becoming pilots but are told it's not meant for them?
I think I will tell them you guys are limitless and society will tell you otherwise.
Mm.
But I think you should not respect their doubts. And you should not let their doubt define your destiny. You should just keep running behind your goal. Uh, just like an aircraft, the aircraft runs and builds up a takeoff speed, and then only it can, soar up high in the air. So just keep running till you achieve that speed and just, fly. So that's what I can tell to young girls. Yeah.
So, what inspired you to write Wheels Up? Was there a personal moment that triggered it?
So I was always journaling down my flight experiences. And then there came a point in my life. when I got the job, I started getting many, general queries from my relatives, friends who were not into aviation, from the passengers when I used to walk down the aero bridge. Like I used to feel these are very, basic questions they're asking me. That's when I realized the general public is not much aware about the pilot's life, about the aviation industry, about any pilot's, journey. And there are so many myths about aviation which people have in their mind.
Mm.
And I think now being a pilot, first I'm like airliner pilot. If I'll write down a book, so it will be coming up. The source would be very legit, for the readers to read, and they can take it very seriously. So I wanted to tell them the success, the failures, the insecurities behind the pilot's life, because they feel their life is very glamorous, which is not at all the reality. We really have to undergo like so many challenges on daily basis also. And our training is also very, very uh, tough. Yeah, they really test our endurance, and I believe one has to be really resilient and a fighter if they want to become a pilot.
Mm.
So yeah, I just wanted to make the people aware of the same. So I transformed those journal entries into a novel, into a story. I weaved them into a story so that it becomes interesting for everyone and they get the message also, what I really want to tell them. Yeah.
No. I'm so happy that I got a copy.
You've read the book?
Yeah, I'm about to complete. I will let you know once I complete that.
Okay. Okay.
So, how did writing the book transform your own understanding of your journey?
So yeah, like when I used to go through my journal entries, and it really showed me like how I have grown as a person, as a pilot, when I used to read my old journal entries. And from where to where I have come. I still write it. I still write my important flight experiences because that really helps me to become better at my skill, at my, people relation, I would say, because each day you're flying with different people. So it's like every day you're flying with a new team. So yeah, that really helps me, to understand that
Mm.
where I went wrong earlier, what I can do today, improve it. And that helps me progress towards the perfection.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. What message readers, especially women and aspiring pilots, take away from Wheels Up?
Wheels up, I think hope is the only thing that can give you wings. So I've talked about my journey indirectly because aviation is one industry which keeps getting hit by recession every now and then. And to become a pilot, you have to be really perseverant, resilient, relentless, and fearless.
Yeah.
So I have talked about everything in a format of the book, in a format of the story. So takeaways can be like the thing which I just told you, that you have to really reach to your takeoff speed before you can soar up high in the sky. So don't just give up midway. And this happened with me every time, whenever I felt like now it's the time to give up. That's when the right opportunity came my way. When I just gave up all the hopes
Yeah.
that, yeah, forget it, I'll not be able to do it, or nothing is happening. Let me think about something else. That's when God dropped the right opportunity in front of me. Yeah. So I think this is the biggest takeaway from Wheels Up. That never give up and never let that fire die down in your belly. If you really want to do something in life, anything, just not just flying, any ambition, if you really want to achieve something, don't let the people, outside people, noises affect you. But listen to your inner voice that you really want to do it and keep working towards it. There will be a day and God will listen to you, to your wish.
Most of the times it happens. 99.99% we will do. In the last 0.0%.
Like this happened with me. So
Mm.
I applied for the airlines I'm working with. A year, like when I got married, the same year, I still remember I was going to honeymoon and I was telling my friend to submit my papers in the airlines because I was applying for the airlines and I couldn't get through the personal interview. ground. And I was so shattered. I was like, now I will not apply in any airlines. I'm gonna leave this field. I was so I became so hopeless.
Mm.
Then 2016 again the same airlines came up with the vacancy, and I told my husband that yeah, I don't want to apply in this airlines because I think I have given it all. Now I can't take it anymore. If I'll not be able to clear this time, I'll be really depressed. And so I just don't want to apply only. I want to escape this.
Mm.
And I was like, why are you doing this to yourself? You've tried for so many years. Now you've come so close to your dream job. What will happen? That you'll not clear again? Was like, and he gave me that, like I will be there with you. And if you want to do something else, we will figure it out. But at least apply. He didn't tell me that, uh, if this time also it will not happen, keep trying, keep trying. He never told me that. He was like, if you want to do something else, I will be there with you. But just make it your last chance. Just apply it and don't expect that you will be getting through or not. Just apply. Just perform the best, whatever is possible for you. And don't think I will be getting through the airlines or not. So I did the same and I just got through. I'm like, I was just about to give up, and that's when, I listened to him. I was all pumped up, and I just went there without any expectation, zero expectation. It was just like, it'll be an experience only.
Yeah.
What else?
So all thanks to him, you have a pilot and you are here with us in this.
Seriously.
Yeah. What's next for Captain Priya Jain? Are there any dreams that still keep you awake at night?
I think there are still many dreams left. There are still many, I still have to tell many untold stories, fly to different destinations. And I think my journey has just started, and still many new runways are waiting for me. Like, I want to become a commander. I want to become a pilot of a wide body where I'll be flying only long haul flights. And one of my dreams is, it is not related to flying, but someday I will be like opening an aviation themed cafe. So the coffee is also a very big part of my life, but I don't know when, but yeah, that dream is there. Like, I have a checklist, The first one was to get my CPL, then the airlines job. Then I wanted to be an author of the book. So I've did that. So now third one is cafe. So I don't know when I'll be able to achieve it, but yeah, that is on the list.
You are doing it soon. Yeah. So if you could whisper one truth into the ears of every young girl in the world, what would it be?
That you guys are limitless, and societies or other people's doubts should not define your destiny. And you should always follow your inner voice and shut your ears to the outside people noises. And I think you just keep running behind your dreams, and one day I think you will achieve it. If you'll keep running, never stop dreaming and chasing your dreams. Yeah. Mhm.
That's so nice. And finally, what has your soul learned from the skies that you wish every soul could understand?
I think sky teaches you patience, tolerance. Yeah. And like, there are thunderstorms. When you are flying, you go through thunderstorms, sometimes bad weather, turbulence. But if you are on your path, you are staying strong on your course, you will find your way back home. So I think that's what I learned from flying the most.
Yeah, that's so motivating actually. Yeah. So that's all for today, Priya. Thank you so much for spending your valuable time with us. It's such an honor to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for inviting. It was a lovely experience to finally talking to you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for being with us today, Captain Priya Jain. Your story is not just about flying aircrafts, it's about flying beyond fears, roles, timelines, and expectations. We salute your journey and can't wait for our listeners to be inspired by it. To all our listeners, if this episode touched your heart, do share it with someone who needs a little reminder that no dream is ever too high to reach. And don't forget to check out Wheels Up, a book that will give you wings. Until next time, this is your host Sandhya, reminding you to live a life your soul feels proud of. Take care, stay soulful.